Hello viewers, today I am going to tell you about one of the most famous equation ever written, E equals to mc squared. This is the most famous equation in the history of equations. It has been printed on countless t-shirts, posters, starred in films, and even if one is not related to the science and physics, but I am sure you must have heard about this equation. So today we are going to know in this video what is the mathematical fancies behind this equation and how it is mathematically derived. So here we go.
100 years ago, a deceptively simple formula was written. It held the key to how our world began and why it works as it does. It led to the creation of the atom bomb, and it uncovered the darkest secrets of the universe. Its author was a youthful Albert Einstein. It's one of the most important and certainly the most famous equation in the world. E equals mc squared.
Hey, that was a short introduction about E equals to mc square. Now E equals to mc square is not about old Einstein, it is about young Einstein. A guy 26-year-old was busy with his new ideas. The ideas that led to the equation were set down by Einstein in 1905 in a paper submitted to a journal by the name of Does the Inertia of Body Depend Upon Its Energy Content? And this paper was a revolutionary paper, and scientists called year 1905 is a miraculous year in physics. It changed the whole physics at that time. So beginning with the derivation of E equals to mc square. Now before starting the derivation, we must know few important concepts regarding this derivation and which are essential to the derivation. These are: what is rest mass, what is relativistic mass, what is Lorentz transformation, and Einstein's hypothesis. So starting with Einstein's hypothesis, or you can say Einstein's relativity postulates, these are as follows. Number 1, the laws of physics are equally valid in all inertial reference frame, and the speed of light in empty space is same for all inertial observers. A concept which essential for theory of relativity. So in short, inertial reference frame either do not move, or if they move with a constant velocity or speed. So there is no acceleration in this derivation, and it has not been considered. Now postulate 1 was known to everybody at that time in 1905, but postulate 2 was Einstein's special, and this was a new idea which Einstein gave, that speed of light in vacuum is constant regarding of any observer, whether you are in the rest or you are moving with certain velocity. Now coming to the rest mass. So a rest mass is the total matter content at rest, that is V equals to 0. It can also be defined as the rest mass or invariant mass or intrinsic mass or proper mass, whatever you may call, is the portion of the total mass of an object or the system of objects that is independent of the overall motion of the system. So by this we can say that the rest mass of a photon is 0. Now coming to the relativistic mass, this is again an important concept in this derivation. Relativistic mass is the total matter content when the body is moving with a certain velocity. So it is difficult to think that if a body is moving with a certain velocity, how its mass increase, and that was a new idea. And in that idea it was believed that the extra energy you put in, that once you put the speed limit, that is you cannot go beyond the speed of light. Now where is the energy going? So the extra energy you put in goes to increase the mass, and that's what This mathematical relation also tells us that relativistic mass gamma equals to gamma times rest mass. Rest mass is denoted by m naught, and relativistic mass is denoted by m, and gamma equals to 1 divided by under root 1 minus v square upon c square, and where gamma is called as Lorentz factor. So by this relationship we can write relativistic mass m equals to m naught divided by Lorentz 1 under root 1 minus v square upon c square. And again the same question arises, what happens when we want to increase the speed? So the extra energy we put in goes into increase the mass, and otherwise if you not think this way, because when v is greater than c, the roots become imaginary, and imaginary roots have no meaning in mathematics or in physical significance. So we can say moving object's mass increases by the factor of gamma in multiplication of gamma. Now here comes summer 1905, the great insight of Einstein, and what he think in this way, that what is the significance of increased mass of a moving object, what does it signify? So to answer this question he goes on with the mathematics, and mathematics tells us that m equals to gamma times m naught, or you can expand the gamma as 1 minus v square upon c square to the power minus 1 by 2, root becomes minus 1 by 2. Now by using simple mathematics we can expand this term by using binomial expansion series, where n equals to minus 1 by 2, and you can see here I have expanded the term, and finally we get lots of term here till infinity. And first two term you can say 1 plus 1 by 2 v square upon c square are important terms, and the rest terms can be said as other stuff, because they are only significant when the velocity is high. So final equation you can say m equals to m naught 1 bracket 1 plus 1 by 2 v square upon c square plus some other stuff. Now we can also represent the above equation by a simple graph as shown in this figure. It is a graph between gamma Lorentz factor with respect to the ratio of v by c, and you can see this other stuff becomes huge when the velocity of a body becomes equal to the speed of light, and it is shown by this curly bracket. And the first two term, that is 1 plus 1 by 2 v square upon c square, are shown with a red dotted line. They are a small factor. So in essence we can neglect the other stuff at lower speed. Now going forward with the simple mathematics and multiplying both the side with c square like this, we get this term, and finally after opening the bracket we get like this, mc square equals to m naught c square plus 1 by 2 m naught v half m naught v square plus 3 by 8 v keep power 4 upon c square till infinite number of terms. And we can say just the first term on left hand side can be called as the total energy. This is strange factor m naught c square plus kinetic energy plus some other stuff. Now this was a result of pure mathematics, and even Einstein was not sure. You can see in this equation that the first term is looking like a constant, because m naught c square is a constant, and because rest mass is constant multiplied by the velocity square of the velocity of speed of light, and that is also constant. And other terms, further other terms contain v, which is the velocity of the object. So even Einstein was not sure that whether this equality will hold or not. So what did he do? He make a hypothesis. In this hypothesis he thought that the left hand term must be a total energy. This must also be a form of energy, because you can say by dimension analysis that this term must also be energy plus kinetic energy plus extra terms. And the first term can also be called as rest mass energy, because it contains the mass m naught, which is the rest mass. Now by further simplifying the equation we can get, you can the first term on left hand side can be written as E. So finally we get E equals to m naught c square plus half m naught v square plus 3 by 8 p to power 4 upon c square till infinity. And now if we put V equals to 0, that if the body is not moving or body is in rest, now what we get here, you can see here that was E equals to m naught c square, and that was the proof which we wanted to get. And you can see I haven't used any fancy mathematics. With a simple mathematics you can prove this E equals to m naught c square, or where m naught is the mass, rest mass, or you can say so E energy equals to rest mass multiplied by square of the speed of the velocity of light. Now this was we intended to prove, but I must also tell you the applicability of E equals to mc square. So with this expression we come to know that mass is a form of energy, and mass contains enormous amount of energy. And what is that enormous amount? Because energy equals to mass in kilogram multiplied by 9 into 10 power 16. This 10 power 16 is a huge term, and we know that it is a square of the velocity of light. Till now you have gone through the equation, the derivation part of E equals to mc square, but what is the applicability of E equals to mc square? I have made here a small calculation regarding electric power usage, small calculation, and you can see the total electric power usage 4.2 10 power 16 joule per year. Now how much mass would be needed to produce this much amount of energy, 4.2 10 power 16 joule? You can see we can calculate with this simple expression, m equals to 4.2 divided by 9, and with this we come m equals to 4.47 kilogram, which is just a mass of an apple. And with this little mass we can get a large amount of energy. Our nuclear power plant converts just 1 kilogram of mass into energy every year. Another nuclear power plant is our sun, and sun produces 4 into 10 power 26 watts, or you can say joule per second. Now how much mass sun consume before before producing this much amount of energy? And we also know the first law of thermodynamics tell us that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but we must know that energy is being created by sun daily. So from where this energy is being created, so you can see with this small calculation, and it comes to be 4 million tons each second. So sun is consuming 4 million tons of mass each second to produce this large amount of energy. One more way to understand E equals to mc square by comparing law of conservation of mass with E equals to mc square. And this law of conservation of mass was given by a very famous scientist, Lavoisier. And here I am considering two balls of mass m1 and m2 and having kinetic energies e1 and n2, and they collide and stuck. Then as per law of conservation of mass, the total m will be given as, here is the diagram, and as per Lavoisier m equals to m1 plus m2, but as per Einstein m should be greater than m1 plus m2, because as per E equals to mc square, this m will be m1 plus m2 plus e1 plus e2 by c square. This e1 plus e2 is the sum of their kinetic energies divided by c square. However, this extra mass due to kinetic energy will be very small, and hence not normally taken into consideration because it is very negligible. But if you have enough sensitive instrument of the order of about minus 15 kilogram, the same can be measured. And this has been measured, and once again it is proved that Einstein was correct. Now there was a time when even Einstein was not happy about depiction of this equation. Almost 40 years after E equals to mc square, in August 1945, atomic explosion at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and you can see on the cover page of Time magazine, it was just represented E equals to mc square on the cloud of that burst. And definitely Einstein was not behind this explosion, but media represented this way, that it is the result of E equals to mc square. So that was a small presentation by me on E equals to mc square and its derivation. And if you do like this presentation, then please like, share and subscribe. And if you want to have some another presentation on some another topic of the physics, then you can also comment on that comment box. And okay, thank you, bye bye.